Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Good Hearted Podcast. Today, I'm excited for this episode because it's very different from what I would normally do. I don't really have any kind of outline for this. I'm not sure where it's going to go, but I thought that would be the fun part of it. So, basically, I found this website called Tier Maker, and it's essentially a ranking system that allows you to rank your personal opinion on thousands of different subjects. So for instance, this is tiermaker.com and right away it says ranking the best and worst movies of 2012. Like it gets down to the specific year. There's also different characters and franchises, sports, NFL, quarterbacks rankings, just tons of random things where you can go in and rank and then see kind of where you align with the community and whoever else is playing on this ranking system. So I basically wanted to rank self help tasks today because I saw one for that. And I just thought that would be interesting to see what I feel is most important when it comes to self help. And then it could be, very similar to what you think, or it could be totally different. So I'm going to be doing this off of my phone, but if you're not watching on YouTube, I think you'll still be able to follow along just fine. And I will share the link in the description box to this specific tier ranking page. So without further ado, I'm going to get into the self-help one. So the rankings at the top, there is a red box with the letter S, and then an orangey box with the letter A, and then two shades of yellow. One is B, one is C, and then the last one is a green D box. So I'm just going to assume S at the top is like the number one task, and then it probably goes in descending order from there, or that's at least how I am going to do it. So I'll put whatever task I think is the most important in the number one spot. I'm thinking I'll only leave one up there, but it looks like there's way more tasks than just 5. So then I might have to kind of double up on some of them. So again, this is just kind of for fun, might give you some ideas for self-help tasks that you can do to kind of take care of yourself or check in with yourself, and then maybe just determining what could be helpful for you to implement a little bit more in your regular routines. And then also maybe recognize some things that you're really damn good at and that you're already implementing. So again, this is just for fun. No pressure. So this very first little icon, basically, if you're on YouTube, you can see instead of like words, it has pictures of these different tasks. So the very first one, it looks like it's an audio book. There is a book that's open, but it has like a speaker on it and then headphones. So I'm going to assume that means just reading some kind of audio book, but likely a self-help book. So that's like how I'm going to take that one. And I'm going to rank that as third most important for now. Might change that later. The next one is a little icon of a book and a pen. So I assume that is journaling. Of course, we're talking about journaling right now. And I swear, I used to love writing. I did it all the time. I had a notebook in high school that was literally just my random ass thoughts and feelings. And I never really like kept a diary. I more just kept like a very emotional journal that did not dictate like all the things that I was doing in my life. Just anytime I was frustrated, I would kind of write my feelings out. And I did that for a long time, and I've just gotten away from it. It's just not so much my thing anymore, mainly because my hand starts hurting before I can even get all of my thoughts and feelings out. And so I'm definitely more of a person who is typing something or expressing it verbally. So I kind of want to put journaling last, but I feel like that is a terrible thing to do, but it is in the D category for now. The next thing is a cute little bed with magic sparkles above it. So good sleep. I'm going to put that as the second most important task for now. I might bump that up later, but for now, I am definitely learning sleep and genuine rest is so important for my mental health and for taking care of myself, my body, my emotional health, like literally everything. Sleep is built on all of that. Or all of that is built on good sleep, is what I should have said. Maybe I need more sleep and then I could think better. So the next thing I have here is a calendar. So I don't know if that means scheduling things or leaving your calendar open. I don't know. So like I kind of have mixed thoughts on that depending on what that is supposed to be. And I guess that's one kind of downside. I wish there was some kind of text or like a little more explanation as into what the hell this icon means. But I'm going to take it as protecting your time and only scheduling things and committing to things that are good for your mental health. That's what I am taking it as. And I'm going to say that is very, very important. So I'm going to put that in the second tier as well, because I am passionate about saying no to things that make me stressed out and anxious and unhappy. And only filling my calendar with things I actually want to do. Because you can say all of these things are important to you, your family and your free time and your sleep and all of that. But your calendar is what truly reflects your priorities, because that is where you have put your time and effort. Even if you don't genuinely want to, you are sacrificing your time for those things. And then sometimes the things that should be a priority in your life, or you want to be a priority, kind of just fall to the wayside because of all of your other commitments. So I'm going to take that as protecting your time, because I like that better than filling your calendar with stupid shit. So the next is just an alarm clock. Don't know what that means. I don't know if that means alone time or just time in general. I don't know. I'm going to put that in the last one because I don't know what that's supposed to mean. So then the next one is a guy with weights, like working out or whatever. So I do think it's very important to move your body in ways that feel good to you. So I'm going to rank that as third most important. We'll see if that moves later. So then next, I have a woman who looks like she is stretching. Doesn't look like yoga. It looks like just stretching. So I'm going to put that again in the third category with like moving your body. And then this next one is a plate with a red like cross symbol in it and then a spoon. So I'm guessing that means dieting. That's what I'm taking from this, or like eliminating certain foods from your diet, even if it's not an active diet. And although that can be good depending on your health and, you know, what your doctor says that you need or what you should not eat, I'm going to say that that's least important, because when it comes to self help, I don't think dieting is good in any way. And it is so bad for your mental health to have those restrictions on certain things. And so I believe more in just being aware of what you are putting into your body and kind of dealing with those consequences. So, like, if you feel like shit every time you eat ice cream, but you continue to eat ice cream, that's kind of on you. But if you're saying, I am not allowing myself to have ice cream, I'm not allowing myself to have sugar, that becomes a whole negative headspace that I would like to avoid at all costs, because it can cause things like eating disorders or disordered eating or just negative relationships with food in general or other people. It can cause binge eating and like all of these other issues. So, anyway, dieting, least important task. So here's a guy walking. Okay, we've got lots of movements. So I'm going to rate that. I'm going to put that in the third as well. And then I've also got a girl who is sitting and meditating, it looks like. So I really like that. Do I want to rank that third or second? Because here's the thing. I think meditating and having that quiet time is so important, but I don't make as much time for it as I should or as I would like to. And I think that's because sometimes I'm scared to sit by myself with my thoughts, but it is so eye opening and it can be very therapeutic for me to take that time. So I think at the moment, I'm going to rank that as second most important task, just because I think it is important for your mind to have that rest and that reflection and to be able to set an intention for your day or your week, year, life, whatever you want it to be. So I'm going to rank that as the second most important task. So the next thing looks like a to-do list. So this could be literally just a to-do list that's written out, or it could be goals. So I'm going to say that's fourth most important, because I do not love to-do lists. For me, they are like very nagging. and I avoid them at all costs for the most part. Some people probably really thrive with having a to do list and checking those things off. I don't really get the satisfaction from crossing things off, but I know that sometimes it is good to kind of get all of those to dos out of my head and onto a piece of paper. I just don't think it's the most important thing. So the next thing on this list looks like just reading a regular book. I'm going to rank that as fourth most important for now, even though I love reading. I've really been enjoying it. But to me, it's one of those things that tends to be a treat, but does help, my mental health and stuff. But it's not super necessary for me personally. So the next thing is a running shower. So I'm going to rank that as a second most important task because hygiene is very important to me, and it should just be in general because that is a way of you taking care of your physical body, but also like your mind by having that quiet time, having a relaxed full shower. I talk about this quite a lot, but doing extra things to make your shower a little bit longer or having special products in your shower that make it just a very relaxing experience, I think can be so good, especially at the end of a very stressful day or in preparation for something stressful, to just take that time to really slow down and breathe a little bit. So I think showers are very important. Now there's also, it looks like a dollar sign and like a upward going something line. I don't know. Looks like saving up money. And I do think that can be important because to some people, financial stability is huge. Like that is a very big deal, but it can also symbolize, I think, earnings and how much you earn. So again, I'm like kind of torn on this one because yes, in a perfect world, in an ideal world, I would want to save up every dime I had and get as much money as I could, generate as much income as possible to make sure my family and I are comfortable and we can have the things in life that we want. But here's the thing, it's never enough. And so I think it can end up being a source of a lot of stress by staying in a job that is not good for you anymore or working an insane amount of hours, and then you don't have any of the time or energy to spend that money that you've worked so hard to earn. I'm not saying that means we should all be broke artists and like just live with our head up our ass and like not pay attention to our bills, but I don't think, for me personally, it is the most important thing to have lots of money in the bank and to have lots of income coming in every month, because I value lots of other things more than money. I do enjoy financial stability and having some money in the bank. I think having an emergency fund that is like a true emergency fund can be very beneficial and good peace of mind. But I don't want to just, I'm not one of those people who just chases every dollar. So for me personally, the money thing is not so important. I kind of want to rank that last, but I don't know if I should do that. I'm just going to do it. I'm ranking it last. Okay. So this next one looks like prayer hands. Um, I'm not going to go super into this one. This could be a big deal for you. For me, that's not a huge deal. So I'm going to rank that last as well. And then the next one is a tissue box. And I actually think the tissue box is very important because it's all about completing the stress cycle. I've said it before, but I will say it again. If you have not read Burnout, and the full title is Burnout: The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle, read it. Read it now. Listen to the audiobook if you can. The twin sisters that wrote this, read the book, and they just talk about how crying and having that moment to complete the stress cycle is so important in this modern world that we live in. Because years and years and years ago, when we were hunters and gatherers, right? Like we would seek some kind of predator, and our mind and our body knew to run and to avoid the danger. And when the predator is no longer there, that's when the stress cycle would naturally end because we were no longer in physical danger. But these days, we have so many psychological and situational, stressful situations that our body cannot tell when that cycle is supposed to be over because it's not like a physical threat, but our body is still reacting in a similar way as if we were being threatened physically. If that makes any sense at all. The sisters explain it way, way better than me. But I have learned that having a cry and completing that stress cycle is actually very, very, very important because it just helps you deal with your normal daily stresses and have some of that relief. Like, I don't know about you, but when I have a good cry, I do feel a little bit relieved. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, it's whatever, but it's like all of this pressure has been released and I feel better about that specific situation that I was crying about. And usually it's several things at a time that I'm crying about. So I am going to move that to the second most important thing. Okay. So for right now, I have nothing in my top row of the most important self help task. In my second most important tasks, I have sleep, keeping your calendar clear is what I'm thinking, meditating, showering, and crying with the tissue box. So I have 5 things in that one. In my third most important, I have all of the things that are like related to exercise. So exercising with weights, stretching, walking. Then in the fourth most important, I have audiobooks, to-do lists, and reading physical books. And then in the least important category, I have journaling, time, because I'm not really sure what that means, dieting, praying, and money growth. So I'm going to move these around a little bit and then I'll come back to you and let you know kind of what I decided. Okay, so I'm not like totally set on these things, but I've kind of moved around the tasks. And so, just in case you forgot, I wanted to recap. I'm ranking self help tasks. So, things that I think are the most important when it comes to taking care of yourself and just keeping your mental health in mind, your physical health, and ranking what I feel is the most important. And so I'm going to go through them and kind of briefly explain why I've ranked them this way. So for number one, I did put sleep because I have realized how important sleep is. I honestly am not sure I slept the first couple of years of my 20s. I was seriously delusional sometimes because of my lack of sleep. And honestly, I'm like, do I have brain damage from that? I mean, probably not. It's probably just mom brain, but like, oh my God, I don't know how I used to function on such little sleep. And now that I'm in survival mode of being a mom, I have really come to appreciate and value my sleep, especially when I get really, really good sleep. So then in second place, I put 2 different tasks. I put clearing your calendar and showering. So, like basic hygiene. Like, basic hygiene is something we should all be able to do. And when I say that, I mean like it should not have to be an afterthought. It shouldn't have to be, I'm done taking care of everything else. Now I'm going to go take a shower for myself. It should just be a normal, necessary thing. If you choose to go multiple days without showering, that's fine. I'm just saying it should not be like this treat that we have. But I do think, in a way to treat yourself when you are showering, you can do some of those small things I mentioned, like getting some special products for your shower or just spending extra time grooming yourself or like whatever you want to do, whatever makes you feel good. I think getting in the habit of doing that and making a shower a more restful and recharging experience can do wonders for your mind and honestly for your body too, because you're taking care of your physical body, whether you're using a sugar scrub or some kind of special mask on your hair to keep it nice and healthy. And it's just so important to take care of our bodies. But I know, at least for me, I have put showering at like the bottom of my priorities for so long, and I refuse to do that anymore. So that's number 2. And then also in there, I have clearing your calendar. I am a big advocate for saying no as much as you can, as often as you need to, or you feel like you need to, and then only filling your time with things that you actually want to give your energy and money and time to. So I feel like once you kind of get a handle on sleep, showering regularly, and taking care of your physical body, and then also clearing things out of your schedule, like clearing out shit that you don't want to do anymore or that you can't afford to do anymore or just isn't serving you, then you have kind of the mental space and the actual time to implement some of these other self help tasks. So that's why I think those are like the top 3 self-help tasks out of the ones that were available for this particular like ranking list. So in the third section, I did end up putting 4 things. So I left like the physical exercise. There's basically a dude with weights, lifting weights, and then there's a woman who is stretching because I do think it is important to move your body. Even though I don't do it as much as I would like to, it is so good for me. It gets my endorphins going. It makes me feel better. It makes me feel like I've done something for myself. So that's super important. But in that third ranking, I also put audiobooks because audiobooks have helped me a ton on my self help journey and just learning new things, seeing other perspectives, and also podcasting as well. So I have loved and have definitely leaned on audio education when it comes to self help. So that has been very important. Some things have not been like super life changing, but they have been helpful. It's helped me to understand other people more, helped me to understand myself more. And so I put that in that third tier. And then I also put meditating because, again, I feel like once you've got a handle on the sleep and the showering and saying no to things and clearing out your calendar, then you can have kind of the mental space to take in new information like from audiobooks, but then also to meditate and see where you want to go in the future, what things you can work on, things like that. So I think those things kind of work nicely together. In the fourth tier, I put reading a physical book because for me, that is a hobby to be reading. And I do love reading, but it's not always super relaxing for me. If I feel like something is going on or I need to be working on something, it is hard for me sometimes to stay focused on a physical book. That's why I love audiobooks because I can be doing something and listening to the book at the same time. And sometimes I will even be doing the dishes and I'll just like stand there and like listen to like the intense part of the book and I'm not doing anything, but I'm more distracted. Meanwhile, when I'm sitting reading a physical book, I'm like, oh, I should probably only read one chapter. I've got so many things to do today. I could be doing so many things, or my mind just kind of wanders because my hands aren't busy. So that's why I ranked that in the fourth tier. And down there, I also put walking just because, like, it is moving your body. But when I see that little icon of like a person walking, I think of the people who say, oh, you're having a shitty day. Go take a 10-minute walk and it will turn your day around. Like, what? I'm sorry. Um, so I think walking can be great for you. It can be a pick me up, but to what extent? And if we're just taking a walk around the neighborhood versus taking a hike somewhere that you've really been wanting to go and has beautiful scenery and like all of this. So like just going for a walk, like a mental health walk, I'm ranking that pretty low on the list just because like I don't think it's as beneficial as some of the other things. And so down there with that, I also put the tissue box for breaking the stress cycle is like what it's symbolizing for me. And that is because I think it takes some work to get there. So again, I think it's most important to tackle all of the things that I've talked about before. Then you can start being not more critical of yourself, but holding yourself more accountable to ending that stress cycle, to stop avoiding all of the negative feelings that you're having and instead sit with them, process them, feel them. So I think just ending the stress cycle, ranking it down there is kind of just a nice flow. And like by the time you've kind of tackled those other things and mastered them, you'll be able to focus more on regularly ending your stress cycles that you find yourself in. So then in the last category, I have 6 things. So I didn't want to rank like 5 things as number 1 and number 2. And so I kind of just put everything that was left in the last category. And I think I've talked about this already, so I'm just going to breeze through them. So journaling, dieting, praying, money increasing, whether that's in your savings or your regular income that you're bringing in, writing a to-do list, and the alarm clock for time. Because not that any of those things are bad or not beneficial. They are all beneficial, except for dieting. We don't like dieting here. But I think they're all things that can be added to your specific mental health journey if you need them to be, and self-help kind of routine. But I don't think they are crucial. I think like the ending the stress cycle is crucial. Moving your body in a way that feels good is crucial. Clearing your calendar is like absolutely important. Showering is a non negotiable, and sleep needs to be a better priority. And so, if you're one that struggles with sleep, you can try a couple different things to help you kind of quiet your mind before you go to bed. Like I've mentioned before, I love sleep meditations. I have pillow mist that makes my pillow smells like lavender. I like lighting my candle at night. I like doing something to decompress. I enjoy reading right before bed. All of these little things that can kind of put me in the mindset to slow down and to like let go of the day and everything that happened and just fall into that restful sleep. You can always also look into things like melatonin or other supplements to help you sleep better. And also just making sure you're getting the right amount of sleep for you. Some people sleep too long and they end up being groggy for the rest of the day because they don't complete all of those sleep cycles. So that's something you can kind of research for yourself and tweak and find out what works for you. This episode was different. It was definitely longer than I thought it was going to be. I was like, oh, this is going to be like 5 minutes and we're going to be over. But I do feel like I came up with some good things to kind of talk about and touch on. And I would be interested to see what you would rank as like your number one self help task and what has helped you on your journey. And then maybe things that you hadn't thought about or that you're looking forward to implementing in your own routine. So this was just kind of for fun. But again, I hope it just inspires you to take care of yourself a little better and maybe try some new things that you haven't done in a long time. So thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next one.